India, you'd have to say, heavy favourites coming into this T20 series. Two strong sides, obviously a couple of notable omissions from India, but a very strong England team that's been announced today. The 11 has been announced. I want to talk to you about a guy, though, Arshdeep Singh, who, he hadn't made his debut the last time these two teams played a T20, or that series, certainly, when we that we were just talking about. He's 5 wickets away from becoming the first Indian to reach 100 T20 wickets in internationals. Nobody took more wickets than he did in India's triumph in the Caribbean towards the back end of 2024. He took wickets in the final. Outside of India, I'm not sure he gets the credit that he necessarily deserves. Does he get the credit that he deserves in India?
Well, firstly, good to be back, John. It's been a while, yes. And in India, yes, we do understand and appreciate what he's bringing to the table. And it's not just limited to the T20 format. In fact, his T20 numbers are so impressive that he's now been announced as a part of the Champions Trophy squad. Somebody who's played only a handful of ODIs, but now he's been preferred over Mohammad Siraj. Albeit a little surprisingly, we are a bowler light, but that's for later. But here in India, as T20 bowler, somebody who's almost like a guarantee. He's like a bond that you buy when you play T20 cricket, that in the power play overs, he's going to give you a wicket. And then in the back end, he comes and he's impressive. And he's grown in stature. And I also feel that that he's also not missed a lot of games. He's someone who's continuously played the international format, unlike a lot of other players who become seniors and then they tend to pick and choose certain series. But he's been a regular, and the IPL monies that he's got also tells you that we acknowledge what he's bringing to the table.
Do you feel like now he's the third seamer? Obviously, Mohammad Siraj has been the second seamer at times, but the third seamer. It feels like this is they're switching over. They finally said, no, Siraj isn't doing what we want, and so Arshdeep is going to be the third most important seamer.
They've moved in that direction, but it's a bit too soon to actually jump to that conclusion because, as I mentioned earlier, he hasn't played a lot of ODI cricket. Definitely not in the last 15 to 18 months. So Mohammad Siraj, I think, will still claw his way back because in the last 2.5 years, he's played most number of games. He's picked up most number of wickets. He's bowled most number of maidens. He's also only behind Jasprit Bumrah in terms of economy for any Indian bowler who has played more than 20 games. So when you look at those stats, you feel that he's slightly hard done by. Yes, there is always a temptation to bring a left-arm pacer in the mix, somebody who's doing well at the international circuit. Why not? In fact, Arshdeep was in the conversation for the BGT as well, even in the longer format, because everybody was very, very excited with the prospect of having a left-arm seamer along with the two right-armers. But I think Siraj is not out of it, and Arshdeep is not fully in yet as far as the 50-over format is concerned.
Tell us a little bit about Tilak Varma, because he's had an extraordinary introduction to T20 cricket. He hit his his second and third balls for 6, 2 extraordinary partnerships in his last T20s against South Africa. I think he shared in the highest second wicket and fourth wicket stands India have ever had in T20 cricket. 200s. He's coming into this with outrageous form, and I suppose, with all the background noise that's surrounding Indian cricket at the moment, at the start of a 5 T20 series like this, the ODI part, it will all be linked into the Champions Trophy, won't it? But it's this 5-match series where I suppose the narrative's going to be getting past the Border Gavaskar Trophy, just forgetting that for a bit, and looking at some of the new guys coming through.
100%, because last month and a half, 2 months haven't been that great for Indian cricket. In fact, a bit more than that, if we take away the limited overs cricket that India played in South Africa. So T20 cricket can actually bring that respite of sorts and make you forget what really happened in the long form cricket. And also, to be fair, it's a very different team. T20 reset button was pressed as soon as India won the World Cup. 3 players decided to walk away, just retired from the format. India started with a new captain in a new fashion altogether, and they played a very different brand of cricket since then. It's also a very successful team. If you look at the last, I think 18 or 19 series, they have won almost everything barring one. So they are on a bit of a roll as far as Tilak Varma is concerned. I think it's great. He started well and then he flittered away. Now he's come back, and when he's come back, he's looked even better. The only thing that actually impacts in his case, or rather in Sky's Surya Kumar Yadav's case, is that if he's batting at 3, Sky gets pushed to 4. It's a team sport, yes, but Sky batting at 4 is not working out well. Not for the captain, not for the team, but Tilak Varma has scored 2 back-to-back centuries, that too in South Africa. So he's not going anywhere, but that definitely puts a little bit of pressure on Surya Kumar Yadav with regards to the number of overs he gets to bat in a T20 game.
I just wanted to ask you about Shubman Gill. He's been made vice captain, and that seems to upset a lot of people online. India seems to be, Aakash, the last country on earth that cares enough about vice captains to make a big announcement about it and everything else. But it does say something, I think, about the future of how they should be. There were people saying that Karan Nair should have come in ahead of Shubman Gill online. Like, people get very excited by domestic runs, and I understand that. But it feels like to me that was India's way of going, no, we're doubling down. Shubman Gill is up.
And there is continuity, Jarrod. I mean, if you pick somebody, you can't just make it a game of musical chairs. That you have a vice captain now and a vice captain or somebody else as a vice captain 6 months down the line. And also, Indian cricket is standing at a crossroads where you know that there is a transition in place. You know that there is a captain who's been around for a very long time, but is going to go away very soon, sooner than later. So you need to now start identifying your vice captains. And while you're absolutely correct in your observation that we have given 2 hoots to who has been the vice captain, we've got plenty in the past. But now it does make a bit of a statement that this is the way Indian cricket is going to go. Shubman Gill is somebody who we are going to invest in, at least in 50-over format. Surya Kumar Yadav is going to continue as your T20 captain. There is still not 100% clarity with regards to the longer format. And I won't be surprised that for the first time, actually, that India might be heading into a direction where 3 formats, 3 captains, and something that we obviously didn't approve of for the longest time or didn't buy into, but we are heading in that direction now.
3 captains, 3 formats, but 1 coach, and he's under a bit of pressure, isn't he? I mean, normally this series wouldn't be a throwaway. You know, you always want to send your team out to win, but there'll be some experimenting, and there'll be looking at the bigger picture and looking at the T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka a year from now. But the coach needs a series win here, doesn't he? And he needs his side to perform, not just in this series, but in the Champions Trophy that follows as well.
100%. He is under fire. There's no doubt about it. When the team goes through transition, it is painful. Very few transitions are seamless and happen on their own without actually rocking a few boats. Gautam Gambhir is that kind of a personality as well, who would want things a certain way. BCCI has, in my opinion, been very accommodating. Whatever he's been asking for, they've been providing that. Okay, now you are. We think you are the guy who's going to take us through the transition. But in the end, results do matter. I don't think that he's on a probation period or something just yet. Results haven't been good in the longer format, but the T20s, they've just kept winning. Started in Sri Lanka, then against Bangladesh at home, then South Africa away. This series is going to be a good one, but I don't think his job is hinging on the outcome of this series, whether it's the 50-over series or the 20-over series. But like you mentioned, there will be an eye on the T20 World Cup when you play the T20 series. And there'll be a bit more focus on the Champions Trophy as soon as the ODI series starts, because it's like the precursor to the symphony. So you would expect exactly the same 11 to play barring Bumrah. That is going to feature on the 20th of February against Bangladesh in the Champions Trophy.
I'm very interested in Mohammad Siraj. He's 30 now. We talked about him coming into the Test series with Deep Dasgupta about him being if he's the 3rd seamer, he fits quite well into the side. When he has to be the 2nd seamer, he quite often looks worse. 30 years old, was really good in the last World Cup for a couple of spells, 50-over World Cup, I should say. Now he's not in the squad at all. Is this the selector saying you have to be more consistent? Because we know what his best is. He's as good as anyone in the world, but he's got such a low floor when he's not bowling well.
Sometimes we tend to get carried away with numbers or form in one format, and then just we carry over to the second other formats as well. Because see, there's a lot of talk also about the workload when we talk about say Jasprit Bumrah, which is fair. But then Mohammad Siraj is the guy who's bowled most number of overs. So I felt that in the BGT he was cooked. So when you want him to be your second fast bowler, in conditions that are actually like they may be conducive for the faster bowlers, but it takes a lot out of their body as well. That's what Australia does to faster bowlers. But he had already bowled too many overs. So he looked cooked to me, and therefore he was not as impressive. But if you were to look at just in hindsight and look at his numbers, they're still not that poor. So his numbers were mirroring Pat Cummins' numbers for the longest time, barring the last Test match, where I think Pat Cummins just ran away with it. But other than that, Siraj wasn't that bad. So I would cut him some slack because also India was playing only three bowlers. India wanted to play all-rounders at number 8. So when you have a team loaded with all-rounders, the workload is also a lot more on the main three bowlers that you have decided to play. So I think Siraj, the story is not over yet. And selectors may have actually gone in a different direction, but we are sitting here discussing this. But what if Bumrah is not available for whatever reason for the Champions Trophy? Siraj will be playing the Champions Trophy. So I don't think it's the door has been shut. In fact, it may just open in 2 weeks from now for all we know. We really hope it doesn't because Bumrah should stay fit and he's critical to India's chances. But Siraj is not out of it yet.
Lastly, Aakash, I'm sure you've been watching and not quite enjoying at times, but the Brendan McCullum, the resurgence of England, McCullum as a coach of the Test side, Stokes, of course, the captain of the longer format. But are you expecting any changes, really? It's been a very inconsistent England white ball team for quite some time now, lacking the power and the experience in the top 6. But the team has been announced. It looks a good one. Jofra Archer's back. So is Mark Wood. Still question marks over the spin. I'm not sure what Brendan McCullum's going to do about that. But are you expecting, or what are you expecting from the Brendan McCullum era when it comes to white ball cricket?
It's an interesting one actually, because even with the Brendan McCullum era and the red ball cricket when England came to India last year, it just felt that it was a bit of a cop out. Where pitches were very good, but they continued to play a certain way and couldn't bat 3 sessions. And we were, I was covering that series, watching every single ball. And I was a bit surprised that this is not even a challenging surface. So my way or the highway may sound all right, but eventually the runs should come. The victories should come. Otherwise, it doesn't work for too long. And white ball cricket has been lagging behind. I think it was the last T20 World Cup when England was outstanding. They won the World Cup under Butler. Since then, they just went downhill and couldn't really. The team that was actually leading the charge globally for playing a certain brand of cricket was falling behind quite a bit. So this was surprising. But now, when you look at this playing 11, I mean, spin, yes, there is Rashid, maybe Liam Livingston might bowl a few overs. It may be a weaker link, but I don't think that should be that big a problem. They have a solid batting lineup. On paper, it looks very destructive. Most of them have got playing in India experience as well, and they're going with all-out pace as well. So bat versus bat contest. You got Wood, Atkinson, Overton, and Jofra in your bowling attack. I think it should be a good series because for once actually. Let me just say that actually for once India is picking a team as England used to. Picking more all-rounders than proper batters or bowlers for the white ball format. India is doing exactly that right now. So India will have a batting till 8, maybe 9, if they could help it. And only 2-3 bowlers, and then plus a lot of part-timers and the bowling of Nitish Kumar Reddy, Hardik Pandya. They'll find overs elsewhere, but they're focusing a lot on the all-rounders, what used to be the case with England. And therefore, we are actually now breaching the 300 mark as well in the T20 format. Quite regularly under Surya Kumar Yadav. So it's going to be an interesting series actually, where England has gone slightly the India way and India has now started playing the English way in the shortest format.
Brilliant stuff. Aakash, thanks for your time, mate. I know I said 5 or 6 minutes. It's gone way beyond that. So I appreciate your time.